Boom, I am live, but I have to be very quiet tonight, and I'm also keeping the lights off because it's very, very hot, and other family are trying to get to sleep to wake up early and watch the soccer and so on, so I'm going to be very, very quiet. In fact, I'm going to be so quiet, I'm going to take a risk of a technical problem, and I'm going to hold this up here, like this. Oh, so that shows much louder, too loud actually. This should be back now. Okay, we're now back and rocking. I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to touch that mic ever again. That was me trying very hard to be quiet, and it kind of backfired. Anyway, let's try this again, shall we? It's good to see you all. I'm very sorry about that. Actually, this is really interesting that this works. I'm going to pause that video well, that was helpful for understanding just now what was going wrong. And okay, let's get into the topics. Anyway, again, I apologize. I have to be very quiet, and I'm going to be very close to the microphone, so sorry about that, and I apologize for touching the mic just now. For a start, I just want to quickly explain. From now on, I want to get back into reconnecting with my Japanese audience, because I want to connect with both the international and the Japanese audience. I want to bring you guys closer together. That's part of the objective of this channel in the beginning. Particularly now, I've been doing YouTube events which I host in Japanese, and none of the people who show up have a chance of really getting to know me, because I just sit here and mumble quietly in English at night. And I made the channel originally to reach out to Japanese people. So because of that, it's partly because of that, and just the fact that we didn't do 2.5 Oyajis last night, and I was hit by inspiration. Let's try again to start some Japanese shows. So in terms of the in terms of this channel, what I want to do for the routine, the only way to do it is to include it in my routine. I can't really guarantee doing it during a weekday, because I might have overtime or be busy at work. The only time I can really do it is before the show. So from now on, every Sunday, from 30 minutes before this show starts, I'm going to do a 30-minute Japanese show. If it takes off, I might make it longer, but I can only talk for so long, and it was actually kind of hard to get ready in time for it tonight. However, I will do a show in Japanese from 10:30 to 11, and then this will be on at the time it is always in English. So that is pretty cool. Average Weeboo, that's a good question, and I have some tips for it, but let me just get back to one other thing. Someone pointed out during the last live stream, a very interesting thing just happened. I just reached exactly 35,000 subscribers, which I've been kind of trying to get to for a long time. Because my channel's quite old, it goes up, but then there's like some YouTube cleanup of dead subscriber channels that aren't active, and it goes down again, and people seem to unsubscribe quite often. I guess people sort of have that trouble keeping a constant sort of growth at a really high sort of a rate. But I have gotten up to 35,000, and this is maybe another thing. I've been doing these YouTube events at YouTube and so on, and this might have been contributing to it. So you know, it's maybe this is another reason, but it's very nice to have hit the exact 35,000 subscriber mark. I've been going for 50,000 for a while, but that was to get extra privileges at the YouTube space. Those privileges, those rules recently changed. Now those now you need like 100,000 for what you needed previously 50,000 to get. Also, to use the space, you previously needed 5,000 subs, but now you need 10,000. So the bar is going up. In fact, I probably need to still get to 50,000 because it might well be I might not be able to use the space when soon. They might raise it from 10,000 to 50,000. Who knows? But it's all. But thank you to everybody who's watching this. Hey, Fabio Santos. Bom dia. And como vai? Nice to have someone watching from Brazil. Actually, big fan of Brazilian people. So yeah. Anyway, it's very nice. Thank you everybody for your support, getting me to 35,000. And you know, I'm never going to be a mega channel, but I talk about, and I think I'm not just saying this. I have pretty good quality subscribers. You know, the people who watch are people who want the content. Obviously, I don't have a lot of people who stalk me just for my good looks, which surprises me. But you know, I've been to the events which have the people the creepers who are hanging around waiting for the good-looking girls. And so on, and you know, it sounds like a lot of fun attracting lots of subscribers just through being good looking, but actually it's not fun. It's not a good, it's a terrible way to run a channel. I mean, most of them end up, you know, running away from YouTube as a result of it. So yeah, the people who watch, I guess, are watching because you enjoy what I do, and I would do this anyway. Like I said, I'd do this even if there was 100 people. So let alone 35,000 makes me very happy. So thank you everybody for that. Let's get into the topics for tonight. Topics for tonight that I have. First of all, this here is. In fact, let's go through the comments first. I'd like to see who's here and say hello to everyone. So we've got Let the Games Begin, and indeed Robert 1967 Canada is way ahead of me. Thanks for the 35,000. Thank you indeed. Andrea Mobway, very good to have you here. And yes, I speak English here, so that is okay, although I speak it just as fast in English as I do in Japanese. But at least you can hopefully keep up with this in spite of my New Zealand accent. What else we got here? We got good so far, except for the coughing. Oh, you've been sick. Sorry to hear that, Robert. Good to see you, Frederick Koenig. The ads for Thai girls now. Well, that's obviously your browsing habits are drawing that, Mr. Kordychev, and I'm not responsible for that. You just need to improve your hygiene habits. Gaijin Down Under, g'day indeed. Robert Ryan, good morning Vietnam, Japan, indeed. Who else we got here? We got Robert 90. Renee Hartman, boom. Well, I have to quiet boom because I'm going to keep people awake in the next room. The insulation here is terrible. Hemi for grade 62, excellent to see from Milton Keynes, indeed. Who else we got here? We got Sergeant Bilko. Thank you for joining the previous stream and this one. Very good to have people, Sweden well represented here. Who else we got here? Mata Gaijinka, very good to have you along here, and nice to see everyone saying hello to each other. It's good to see you guys all getting along as you do. Nicholas Filter, that's a name I don't recognize. Filter, is that Nicholas Rap like changed or something like that? Or if that's a new person, welcome. It's good to have you along here, and thank you for the congrats on 35,000 subs. I very much appreciate it. Contensai, great to have you here, and great to have someone who can follow both of the streams. Temiko, great to see you, and great to have another Kiwi there in the stream. Excellent. Theodore Sharp, good to see you, and good to see you at the meetup the other day. That was very good. It was good to catch up with you, sir, and hope you managed to sort out something with the visa and the job thing. But yeah, just keep at it, man. Who else we got here? We got Tai Nakamura, great to see you, sir. Sorry I couldn't talk back. I don't want to break up a Japanese stream to speak in English. That's wholly, like I was explaining before, that's going to be pure Japanese for 30 minutes before I switch over into this in English, because yeah, I kind of feel bad I'm not connecting with a lot of Japanese people. Well, my whole channel started out as a Japanese channel actually, and all my subscribers were Japanese, and I've kind of I'd like to have both if it's possible. So, you know, I'd like to have both people engaged. Sumi-chan, excellent to see you. Konbanwa, good to see you. Icarus 18, hey, look at this. We've got all the cool kids are here. We've got Kran, we got, who else we got here? Sorry about the sound, got crazy there for a minute as well, by the way. It's freezing in Australia. Well, it's 35 degrees like Australia, except with extra humidity up here today. It was 35 degrees here today. It was crazy. LED globes, thank you, Sean Bro. Yeah, that's probably actually not a not a bad idea. A Contensai, yes, that is funny. I did kill it. And hey, I know that people come here it's like watching a car race. It's like when I used to watch the the James Hardy 1000, the Bathurst race as it used to be called, James Hardy. I mean, it's fun watching cars go fast and seeing who wins, but let's face it, we all kind of want to see a crash, and I know that, you guys come here and you want to see some exciting racing, some great commentary, and some crashes, and I provide all of the above here. This is what the 35,000 come for, I guess. Sorry about sorry about destroying your headphones there. Midori, good to have you in here. Sorry for destroying your sound. That was a complete mistake trying to I thought I'd bring the microphone closer so I could talk with a softer voice. But I'm not going to mess with that anymore. This is me trying to figure out the technical problems. Amber, you wonder what kanji in sign language looks like. There is no kanji in sign language, but there is different sign language for Japanese has its own Japanese sign language, which I understand is different to into other English or internationalized sign language. But I don't know what it is. But there is Japanese special sign language. So there we go. I wish I could turn on subtitles. In fact, I lately now, especially now I'm doing this bilingually, I kind of wish I could actually. One thing I really like to see from YouTube actually. Is like TV in Japan, there's a little voice button which you can switch between Japanese voices, like a voiceover, like a dub, or the original English. And it'd be kind of cool if YouTube would allow multi-channel audio so that I could dub myself. I could talk like about what I'm talking about while I listen. I could be a simultaneous translator for myself and provide multi-channel audio, and you guys could keep up with my Japanese and my English videos. That'd be kind of cool, and it would be less effort than typing everything out, which takes a lot of time. But there you go. What else we got here? Subtitles on, although I'm sure they weren't doing anything. Caroline Van Oostendebo, very good. I'm sorry about that. And that's right, the streamer stopped streaming. Sounds poetic. Sounds like a rap, doesn't it? It sounds like I was surrounded by police officers with my homies, and there was gunfire rang out, and then the streamer stopped streaming. It could be a rap. It could be like a gangster rap said with my voice. Someone should make that into a track. Speaking of which, I've got oh man, I'm so behind on Tokyo Digital Crew. It's been crazy. I started a new job this week, personal news, which means I'll probably start telling stories about the old job. I never talk about current jobs, but I might talk about the old job soon. I had a lot of crazy stuff went on there. Great job. I mean, great experience, and great company. And I'm lucky. I've been able to do a bit of a step up, but yeah, as a result, I'm currently going through a busy period, hence the lack of preparation. What else we got here? Any other names here I don't recognize? I see that we have Average Weeaboo, which I don't recognize the user, but very good to have you along. Kahone Groove Guide, great to see you. Oh, yes, and I got your message the other day. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you yet, but I got your message, and yes. As you can see, it's kind of hard for me to do musical stuff at the moment, though, and I have to be very careful about sound, so I'm sorry about that. Anyway, we have sound and not deaf anymore, so everybody is relieved. That's great. Jason is lost. I hope Jason is found soon, but very good to have you there. Jason is lost. Looks like you got a channel there I might want to check out. Kei Midori, do I have any tips for expanding Japanese vocabulary? Yes, I do. Well, certainly the general things with language about getting a girlfriend, if you like, or friends, or any people to interact with is good. I would say have an interest, a hobby, or something that you want to pursue. The way that you tend to pick up vocabulary is, you could pick up a phrase book and learn how to, complain about moldy cheese or ask where the library is and stuff like that. But unless it's something that you really want to know, or that you have an immediate need for, it tends not to sink in. So what I think the best way to approach this is to find, I don't know, if you're into astronomy, or you're into, I don't know, anything, pick a genre. Anything maybe that you do for your work or for your hobby or whatever, and learn about that in Japanese. I mean, this is a funny thing. My first job in Japan, I worked at an IT company as an IT consultant in a silicon wafer factory. So, when I started, I was completely lost. But after about 6 months, it was kind of funny. Every day, I could pretty much handle every single conversation that you would have, including very, very technical conversations. And everyone was saying, wow, you got really good at Japanese. And it's kind of funny, I got very good at Japanese in those situations, and I was using Japanese every day. But I was just as, my shortcomings outside of those situations were just the same. And truth is, when I built up my Japanese, it wasn't like I just built up all my Japanese, like, it kept filled in detail, and it all went up gradually. It was like I learned surfing language when I was surfing, I learned DJ language when I was DJing, I learned work language when I was working, and then I constantly, every time I found myself in a new situation, I'd be learning new words. When you're dating someone, you learn new vocabulary for that. Maybe one really good way, I've always said this, if you want to watch anime, fill your boots, but anime, the danger of anime is that it doesn't often mimic real life Japanese. In fact, if you talk like anime, you'll come across like badly to people in a lot of cases. Try to watch some Japanese dramas and movies, actually. If you can find some really good ones and with some subtitles, and you can watch them over and over and over, that's a really good way. I mean, if you enjoy it and you have some sort of motivation to understand it, that's the best way to expand your vocabulary. Yeah, and the great thing about Japanese dramas, is that they give you a lot of context for understanding words that you don't understand. So I like Japanese dramas as well, Japanese TV, but just pick subject matter and go subject by subject, rather than trying to tackle everything at once, and I don't recommend per se. Well, it depends on where level you're at, but if you've got like a Japanese study book, again, they only teach generally, and if you're a very good student who can just memorize stuff, that's awesome, then you don't need my help. But if you do need my help, it means you probably need some motivation or some emotional attachment to the words that you're remembering, and for that you need experience, and for experience you need to do something that you want to experience and that you are otherwise feeling like you're missing out on if you don't do. And in that respect, whatever you are into in your hobbies, just try to learn around your hobbies and what you would actually practically use and want to actually talk about. And the best thing is, of course, finding human interaction around that, particularly from people who don't speak English, because then you've got no choice. Those are a lot of my suggestions, but there you go. I am like a bald cat. That could be taken a lot of ways, Mr. Cordy Chap, and I'm not comfortable with like 90% of them, so I'm going to leave that right there. Feet, Sean bro, thank you. I'm getting the trolls now here. Who let the trolls out? Kang and Kodos, great that you made it. Good to have you along. Fabio Santos, good to have you from Brazil. Como vai, as I said earlier. Goshimbi, average, and here is someone doing the go. Learn every word that yeah. I mean, again, I'm not a big advocate of learning by anime. Manga is actually pretty good for learning. But if that's what you're into, go for it. At the end of the day, you're going to learn. You're going to be much better learning something that you're interested in, like anime, if that's what you're into, than it is learning, a stereo repair manual, which if you're not interested in it. So, yeah, Goshimbi, that's actually pretty sound advice. Also, good to know that we have a viewer from Kentucky. That's kind of interesting. I've got a Kentucky story in there somewhere. Barringer regularly unsubscribes, but in spite of that, I still made it to 35,000, so that's awesome. Jim Gates, there's a name I don't recognize. Hello indeed, good to hello, good to see you. Show some skin for 100,000 subscribers. Well, I can't because I have too much hair covering all my skin. This is the problem. Well, except where I want it. Anyway, what else we got here? And there we go, SBS, of course. If you're in Australia, which is, they have news and you can just put it on the DVR and record it and watch that. And they have Japanese movies and TV shows indeed. Icarus 18, great to see you. And watch lots of TV. These are exactly like I was saying, watch lots of TV. You can do that. Japanese dramas, that's right. That's a very good way. It's as I was suggesting. Daki no Sky indeed. And Shuba's from Panama, fashionably late. Don't worry, believe me, you didn't miss anything. We're just about to start the show, so here we go. And the first thing is another Nichan thing, but when they asked a pro-Brexit, a pro-exit person, why they were interested in leaving the EU, which has the Japanese internet, just people in Japan just don't understand why would England pull out of the EU and destroy the world economy. And Ben Duncan, good to see you. An English person explained it in a way that was very easy for the Japanese internet to understand. He said, well, imagine, wouldn't you not like it if Japan's highest court was in Seoul and its parliament was in Beijing, in China? And everyone immediately agreed, yes, it's great that you left. You can always rely on the right-wing instincts of the Japanese internet to find common understanding points, and that's one that was found there. Puiga, no, I'm good. I don't care. It's good. It's aerodynamic. It's really easy to dry after the shower, and she said it was releasing like stem cell treatment for it like in 2018, and I'm saving up. Right. Yeah, this is interesting. So I was ranting about this in Japanese before. The Japanese government, so I think I've mentioned the story with this before. In Japan, it's illegal to dance in clubs under an anti-prostitution ordinance issued by GHQ 70 years ago after World War II. In the old days, people who danced in clubs were basically go-go prostitutes, go-go dancing prostitutes. And so in order to police go-go dancing prostitutes, a law was passed that all dancing in places of alcohol, shall be regulated. Of course, everyone just forgot about this law, and, through the bubble and through the 70s and 60s, people went crazy drinking and partying and having Japan is a fantastic nightclub scene. However, because of some troublemaking clubs, the police discovered this law and used it to shut down clubs that were drawing complaints of noise and antisocial behavior from residential neighborhoods that were nearby. And as this started to happen, people started to get arrested for allowing people to dance in these clubs. And when it was when club owners went to Parliament and said, "Look, this is stupid that the police are enforcing this like this. Can you please take this off the laws?" A parliamentary committee of 80-year-olds said, "Well, people shouldn't really be dancing with members of the other sex in nightclubs with alcohol. This is immoral. So we agree with the law being banned, but let's do this. You get to dance, but only until midnight, and no alcohol served, and the room has to be brightly lit." This is what a bunch of 80-year-old parliamentarians did to improve the situation of the dance ban in Japanese nightclubs. This has destroyed the Japanese nightlife scene. They recently relaxed the restrictions that you can continue to dance after midnight, provided that there's no alcohol being served and there's adequate light. They put everything but put in leaving enough room for the baby Jesus to fit in between the people who are dancing. And this is the case. These are people from a generation that built up Japan's, nightlife, and have just gone and destroyed it because they don't think young people should have the privileges that they had. And indeed, this is a very Kevin Bacon scenario. And it's going to be completely ridiculous again with 2020 coming up, and the fact that you're going to have all of these, the world's going to come to Tokyo, and they're going to think it's freaking weird that you have old people regulating how young people can dance and go to nightclubs. And this is just one thing. You talk about how old people voted for England to leave the EU, even though young people wanted to stay. This is the post-war baby boom generation. They're taking over, and they're just, they had a big party, and now they're burning down the house, as they go out. And we were always destined to be victims of our parents' generation. There were more of them. And as they go through their various midlife crises and they lose their their faculties as they get older, they're taking it out on us, and this is just going to get worse. But this is a silly situation anyway, and it's an interesting situation. Hopefully that will improve anyway. Today was hot, by the way. Yes, indeed. Wildfire 777. It was hot. It was over where I am in Tokyo today. It was over 35 degrees. Which is pretty hot, actually. And the thing is, in Australia it gets up to 30, even 35 is hot anywhere. Someone told me in American degrees it's like 96, getting close to 100 anyway. But it's not like Arizona or Australian desert heat. This is with like 80 to 90% humidity, so there is no oxygen in the air at 35 degrees. You can't really go outside. I went outside with my son today a bit, and I had to change clothes and shower like twice during the day. It was crazy. And this is just the start of summer. It's going to get worse. Last year we had a record. Every year it gets worse, and it's not just global warming, it's urbanization as well. Tokyo is just such a big mass of concrete with no trees, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year. It just means you get what's called a heat bubble over Tokyo. You just get this radiating heat. It just creates, it means that average temperatures in Tokyo, like according to global warming, temperatures are supposed to have gone up like 1 degree over the last century, but around Tokyo in the last 30 years, summertime average temperatures have gone up more than 5 degrees. The number of nights where the temperature doesn't drop below 25 and it goes up above 35 used to be like once or twice a year. Now we get like 1 or 2 months in a row. And it's as bad or worse than the tropics. I've lived in Singapore, I've lived in Thailand, and they have high temperatures, but it's as bad or worse than Tokyo, so it's pretty tough. Anyway, this is a article in Japanese, but it's talking about something which I think a lot of people might have noticed. Whenever the Japanese news, NHK, does a news story about foreign tourists to Japan and how the numbers are growing, the film footage that they use is always of people that look like me, basically. They like to show white tourists, Westerners. They like to show the Germans and Swedes and Italians and American, white Americans, I guess, and maybe some black people and so on, but clearly Westerners. they don't like to. It's funny, but these statistics, the boom in Japanese tourism is 80 to 90% from Chinese and Asians. The Western tourism numbers have gone up, but nothing like the Asian numbers. But so there's this question: isn't it a bit weird that whenever they talk about tourism on the news, they show Westerners when it's really got very little to do with Westerners coming to Japan? It's all to do with Chinese. And I think I thought and felt the same thing. I've noticed it, and I've thought the same thing. When I thought about why is it like that, I figured, well, maybe it's just that the Japanese use themselves. They wouldn't want to show. It'd be kind of awkward if they filmed people who they were sure were Chinese. And it turned out later on they got complaints from these people because they were Japanese and they didn't like being demonstrated on TV as Chinese. You can be pretty sure when you see a Chinese tour group or Korean tour group, but you can never be 100% certain, right? Japanese DNA-wise come from all over Asia, just like Europe or whatever. So, there are people, you can say there's people who look Japanese, but I've been to Korea, I've been to Taiwan, I haven't been to Taiwan. I know Taiwanese people who probably have Japanese blood. They're people who look very Japanese, have typical Japanese faces there, and in China. So, yes, I think that's probably the reason why they go for something more obvious. Of course, we have Debito Ardo and Eido Inoue, who we have white Japanese, naturalized Japanese, but at the same time, the chances of getting it wrong with filming a white person is probably a lot less than filming an Asian person. So I'm guessing that is the reason, but it is interesting to see. So Perth, that's right, Perth can be 40 degrees, but it's different to Japan. Again, you're right on the side of a big desert, and again, Australia gets crazy hot. Of course, I've grown up half in Australia, so I can tell you about that, but yeah, not Perth in Scotland, that's right. Bakugai, yeah, is definitely coming to an end. The explosive shopping of Chinese, just because the yen has now dropped from like 125 to 99. It's lost like 25% of its value in the last week or so after the Brexit thing. So, the 25% sale is coming to an end. It's not going to be so cheap here anymore. It's going to be better for me going outside because I earn money in Japanese yen, but yes, indeed. I was just talking about this one as well, the most irritating borrowed Japanese words. This is by Corey Gold for Rocket News, and these are the words that this person finds annoying, and I agree with some and not with others. I do agree with number 10. In fact, this would probably be number 1 for me, the word button. Button, you'd assume would just be button in Japanese, but no, it's botan. And it's kind of annoying because it takes a long time. I'm still not used to it. I've been here 18 years and I still don't get used to it. The fact that they call playing cards or cards, they call them trump. I guess now it gets particularly irritating because now that I think about it, it's the name of the presidential candidate. But yeah, a trump is a specific card, right? It's not like the whole deck, but yeah, it's a little bit confusing. I figured that one out pretty quickly, however. I don't get that irritated by that. The idea that all you can eat smorgasbord, like a sizzler they call a Viking. I like Swedish people. Nothing wrong if you say two things I like and they're both called Vikings. I'm okay with that, frankly. I don't have a big problem, although I wonder how Swedish people feel about it. If you're Swedish, I don't know how you take having a sizzlers being called Vikings. But that's it, Japanese Vikings are pretty good. I didn't really understand that though, why they're called Viking menus. I guess you get to sorry, I come from Yorkshire Heritage, which is a Viking kingdom within UK, and when the Vikings would pay visits to England, they used to, I guess, treat England as a tabe and various other things, tabe hodai. So that might be the reason you get to rape and pillage the table. Although there again, if you really ate like a Viking, you'd probably get kicked out, right? That said, Scandinavians are some of the nicest people now, so yes. This person gets really irritated when sports players are called nanchara senshu. This person's like freaking out. This is like san, when they're a senshu, it's like Daniel san or Mr. Daniel or whatever they call it. It's just a respectful term for players. This person has that doesn't make any sense. The my something, this is a little bit, the 1990s want their buzzword back, and even then it was only used by old people, so you don't really hear this very often. My boom, I don't get irritated by this at all. In fact, it's kind of sad hearing people use it because, it's not, within Japanese, very, very popular. Metabo, Gaijin Down Under, Sizzlers are closing in Australia. Well, I never really liked them anyway, frankly. And in Australia, they're kind of known. I'm sure the reason they're closing down is if they were not being closed down because of customers not coming, they were going to be closed down by health and safety. Because kids, in Australia, they stick their fingers and stuff, and they run around wild, and they scream, and they bang their heads on the table. And no, I don't want to eat at a Sizzler. So, c'est la vie. Japanese use the word metabolic syndrome, i.e. you're fat. I have a guilty confession to make. Japanese will often greet someone before saying hello. They'll say, "Oh, you put on weight. Oh, you lost weight." Observing how someone's physical appearance has changed since I last saw them. The reason it's okay to talk about weight in Japanese is that it's something you can control. You can't control baldness. You can't control getting old. So you can't control physical attributes that you can't control. Having short legs, ugliness, baldness, height, aging, those things, it's really bad form to say, "Oh, you got old," or "Oh, you got short legs," or "Oh," that's not fair, that's bullying. But, "Oh, you got fat," that's okay, because you just let yourself go, that's your fault. You just stop eating so much and you can be skinny again, is the idea. Again, it's a little bit Spartan and a little bit, post-war generation type thinking. But this idea that you have to treat people as, fat people with kid gloves, it's different. So I've mentioned this numerous times, how it is very confronting when you come here and people see you and they, "Oh, John-san, futotta ne." And I don't like it at all. And and when someone pulls it out with me, I've been known to drop the "Oh, you have short legs" bomb, which is completely inappropriate way to respond or ever raise in a polite conversation. But yes, anyway, lately I've lost weight, so people say, "Hey dude, lost weight, looking good," which is nice. I actually saw someone I hadn't seen in a long time recently, and he had put on weight markedly, and he was a Japanese person. And he actually admitted he put on about 10 kilos, and he's a Japanese guy, so he probably went from like 60 to 70. So I saw him, and they put it on their faces, it's really obvious. So I was like, "Hey dude, put on weight." And he looked crestfallen when I said it. And I felt, yes, I got to say it. It's bad, and I didn't say metabol, at least anyway, but I felt so happy that I could just say it, and I thought, well, it's socially acceptable, this is Japan, they say it to me, I'm going to say it to him. Batso. But then I felt guilty a little bit, but it was also fun. Anyway, metabol, it is what it is. It's just a slightly more sensitive way of saying fat. And indeed, busaideo. Yeah, that was a bit rude. I'm sorry, and I felt guilty about it afterwards. But seriously, people have no problem, making fun of me. So there you go. Snack. Again, snacks. Like if you're like 60 years old, maybe this bothers you. It's completely irrelevant to every other part of the population. So yeah, I mean the fact that they call these old karaoke, smoky, overpriced drink bars with nothing interesting in them whatsoever, other than old people who might fall over. There's nothing else interesting about snacks other than the fact that it's kind of weird that they call them snacks. But that's okay. Again, that's very kind of bubble period, but that's okay. Number 3, we've got guts pose. It kind of bothered me for about like 3 months. This person's like getting 9 out of 10 on, and 10 years to adapt. Again, I think this person's showing his own issues. Oh no, 2 years to get used to it. Sorry about that. Yeah, a few months for me, seriously. It's a bit weird that you say guts pose, but why not? Number 2, stove. This actually does bother me. A stove is, for cooking on. It's not for a heater. I mean, the old-fashioned wood chip ones were on. I think that's where the term originates from. But, yeah. When they say go turn the stove on, I still think you gotta go cook something. That's how it registers in my brain. I find this very... this and button are the 2 really distracting ones. Average weeboo, can I take a look at this? Learn Japanese to survive hiragana battle. No, I won't look at it because I learned hiragana like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and seriously, 30 years ago. And I'm sure hiragana battle is amazing, but seriously, that's like you're asking me to look at an alphabet battle. If you made it, maybe I'll think about it. But if you made it, I'll look at it. But asking for a Sesame Street alphabet battle, it's kind of maybe. Anyway. And what else we got? Sandwich. This person gets really upset by the term sandwich. Dude's got issues. I think they were just running out of things to put on the list, and they just randomly put it on and looking for controversy. I think that's it. There's maybe Guts does it. Oh, but is that where Guts pose comes from? Does that come from Guts, the boxer? Maybe. Yeah, it's a good nickname in that case as well. I'm not sure if that comes from one or the other. Anyway, Tomya wrecked mate. Well, maybe. I don't know what you are talking about. Doesn't matter. Here's an interesting one. That Japanese man Yuta highlighted how we talked about ego. I like to call them ego bandits. They call them English vampires and gaijin hunters here. These are Japanese who go around, completely without dignity, throwing their bodies at any foreigner who will allow them to practice English. And basically free sex in exchange for free love in exchange for English lessons. And so they asked Japanese people, what do you think of these people? And Japanese people totally didn't understand what the conversation was about. This is similar to another video that Japanese man Yuta has done. I don't know. I mean, again, I wish I was worse at Japanese, that I could... this would be more relevant to me. They always get very disappointed when they find out you can speak Japanese, as they want someone who's pure and not polluted and can only speak English that they can practice with. And I'd actually advocate this as a way to learn Japanese, that you just find someone who can who can't speak English. This is what I did for a long time. Mr. Korichip, I love that show where where Ryan Boundless complained about sandwiches. Shubas, your first Japanese book was Japanese in 30 hours. Well, you can do a lot in 30 hours actually, so that's pretty good. Yeah. Well, the hunters. If you go to Roppongi, it's where all the hunters sort of gather. But you go there and you go to a bar in Roppongi, you don't speak English, you stand still and you breathe, and girls will come to you no matter how terrible you look, even if you're like bald and old, middle-aged. I mean, so I hear. Not my thing anymore. But yeah, they will basically bonk you for just to be able to speak with you and not have to pay to go to Nova. It's terrible, and I don't know why so many expats stay in Japan for so long and just go through this week after week. And this is also why, when people come and talk about the numbers of women that they've bedded, thinking that they're amazing. No, it's not that big a deal here, actually. It's actually kind of too easy, actually, in some respect. Now, I know this will bring people into Japan and so on, but the thing is, these people, they're not really, they're just kind of bouncing around looking for lessons. And it's okay. I mean, again, people who just want to interact with you purely for language, it can work well if it's a quid pro quo, but, at the same time, I never really had that because I came here with the opposite, with a very Japanese focus, and, it's kind of people feel a little bit used and shallow, but seriously, I mean, if you want to be used, fat is okay, even fat, well, seriously, Ben Duncan, I think you're familiar with some of the people who are here and who do okay, so there you go. I do chase them off with my boomerang, that is right, Asashi 89, it's a very good boomerang. It's mine. So there you go. This week we reached a milestone in Japan. 1 in 4 Japanese people are above 65 years old, the age of retirement. So the weight, as we talked about earlier with the dancing laws and various other things of just Japanese society being weighed down by having to look after old people above working age, it's really, really coming home now, 1 in 4 people. And, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. The first hate speech legislation came into play in Japan. The first ever complaint lodged under the Osaka regulation against hate speech. A Korean group lodged a complaint against a video on the internet that was taken in Osaka, basically a hate speech march against Korean people. And to be clear, we're not saying these aren't marches saying we don't like Korean people. These are speeches where people, little girls and women and men with loudspeakers go up to Korean schools and shout out at the children that you should all be murdered and there should be genocide. I mean, kind of seriously like Nazi Germany stuff, actually. And as much as, I'm a believer in all sorts of free speech, and I don't believe in this safe space bullshit or anything like that, and I think you should be able to talk about anything in a discussion in the right environment. Going up and actually terrorizing people and and having groups dedicated to marching and promoting genocide, no, I think there is a line, and that is certainly well on the other side of it, and it's excellent that there is now an ordinance without any There's no imprisonment or fines or any punishments under the ordinance, but there is an ordinance that you can at least get an injunction to stop the marches. And it sounds like that's what these Korean groups are now going to start to use it for. And, it's been bad for Japan's international image that it hasn't had these. And these marches are just like the brown shirt marches that happen in Germany. And again, I'm sure everybody thought, well, they're just talking about killing all the Jews. They're not actually going to do it. A lot of Jews stayed in Germany because they thought of that. I don't think it's going to happen in Japan. But there again, you don't want to leave an environment that this sort of thing can come up. I mean, again, the Rwanda genocide started with radio broadcasts. Germany happened very much the same way with marches of people and uniforms, and that's what these are. So I'm very glad to see that this is in place and that it's hopefully going to be applied to protect people. I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't have a debate. It doesn't mean that you can't discuss the rights of Koreans and permanent residents and immigration policy and all these things. And even in the privacy of your home, say what you like, but going out and actually going to the children of these people and saying you should all be murdered, which it's there. You can see these things on YouTube. I mean, they're horrible. The fact they have little girls like in these marches saying you should all be killed and die, it's crazy. So, and by the way, let me also make very clear, these are extremely fringe groups. I mean, we're talking 0.000000001. I mean, probably rarer in Japan than neo-Nazis are in America or New Zealand or Europe. But they're there and they march. And the boys have felt protected, and the police have protected these people as they marched. But I think this is a good example of a good thing to regulate. Japan's been under pressure from the UN because of this, and it's nice to see some action being taken on it. A lot of changes with VidCon this week, a lot of announcements coming out from YouTube. One of them is that YouTube is increasing the direct support it will provide for creators and creator resources and so on to basically support people becoming high quality channels if that's what you want to become. Hey Vlad, good to see you, sir. Yes indeed, you're freezing your didgeridoo. You should come up to Japan. You wouldn't be doing that, Gaijin Down Under. Have a good one. I'll be done in 10 minutes. Anyway, a lot of people say, they want to make a complaint or whatever, and the service on YouTube is terrible. People complain about, well, it sounds like YouTube is actually trying to improve this area. Not only that, but there was also a bug which was causing some channels to unsubscribe people and so on. They found that and they fixed that. And YouTube said that they're releasing mobile live streaming like imminently. It's going to become available. That's going to be huge. They're also improving comment control, which again is needed. So it's nice to see YouTube's always trying to improve, and hopefully these features will be helpful and useful. This is going to be a really long list. It's worth looking at. This is by Tsunagu Japan. It's a really good site, and they've actually created a list of 30 top spots in Japan to visit. I look at this and I'm like, man, I've been to hardly any of these spots. And if you want to create your own travel itinerary, I mean, this is really, really good. And this is, Gifu. I've never been to Gifu, never been to Hyogo. Looks really nice actually. I'd love to plan a few vacations based on this. I mean, Kyoto, it's not all just Tokyo anyway, that's the point. The Samurai Museum is in Tokyo. I've never been to it. It looks really good. I've been to the Kyoto Station building. I didn't think it was that special. Meiji Jingo I've been to. Yes, okay, there's one of the Misen. I've been to Hiroshima. I'm not sure I've been to the specific place. I've been to Miyajima. Looks really nice. But anyway, this is a really, really good list. Lots of descriptions and information. Tsunagu Japan, go check it out anyway. What else we got? This is another sad thing which has been happening in Japan. Apparently, lately, there've been in the last 6 years, there've been 180 something cases of people murdering the family members that they've been providing healthcare for. We just talked about before how 1 in 4 Japanese are now above working age, about in retirement age, because Japan doesn't really have much of a welfare system for looking after old people unless you can afford it. It means that the burden primarily falls on the families of these people. Normally the eldest son and their family is responsible for looking after the grandparents, for looking after them. And if they become bedridden, or they have Alzheimer's, or they have a serious medical condition that keeps them down, and even when that happens they can still live on for years, looking after them, the changing the diapers, the carrying them around, feeding them every day and stuff like that has to happen morning, afternoon, night. It falls on the families to do. And there's a lot of cases where, and this happens with spouses, look after each other. So sometimes you'll have an 88-year-old looking after a 90-year-old. They can barely, carry the other person or whatever. And there's this phenomenon of being tired of caring for the other person, that they just they make a pact. Sometimes they murder-suicide. Sometimes they just can't do it anymore. Particularly if the other person's Alzheimer's, they can make it also very tough, and they murder them. And there've been, I think it's a case of once every 2 weeks for the last 6 years now, there's confirmed statistics of a caregiving related murder. So there's 138 instances in the last 6 years, which is basically once every 2 weeks. And it's been increasing lately, and it's a concern being raised by the police now, because you're getting news stories about this all the time. It's kind of horrible, but it's again, when you're dealing with a society with extreme aging and without a real good safety net for looking after these people. This is, you can't have families just looking, you can't have it all in the families, and this is it. It's going to be probably come through tax or whatever, but again, there also aren't the caregivers for the people already there, let alone the fact that most people are being cared for by their elderly spouses or families. So it's a real tough situation at the moment, and Comic Rain herself, hearing the stories about daily operations at care homes by actual workers, well, that's right, and this is the thing. They talk about, they want to increase the pay for daycare, for care workers, for elderly, but you don't do a job like that for money. You do it out of you have to be the type of person that's willing to change diapers of an adult and carry them around and feed them. Some people have that kind of drive to do that, and some people don't, and we're very lucky that we have a certain population that does, and they should be paid well for what they do, but you're not going to increase the number of people who want to do that for money. But it's a massive problem for Japanese society. How are you going to look after all these people? By the way, very good to see Comical Rainer there in the comments. Very good to see you. I started my Japanese show again just before this. Hope you caught that. So yeah, it's a really tough situation. It's getting worse, and hopefully the government's going to pay attention and do something about it. Pauline Hanson. I don't really care about Pauline Hanson, except she got elected to the Senate from the state where my mum lives. But But there again, you guys elected Sir Joe as a state premier for years, who's like a crazy, literally crazy, old right-wing New Zealander who moves to Queensland. That was kind of funny. Anyway, the Japanese yen crashed to 99 from 125, lost 25% of its value. I was talking about this earlier. That is me talking in Japanese because I was talking on the show before this. I was doing a show in Japanese. I've revived my weekly Japanese show. That's very good. This is kind of crazy. Krispy Kreme. When it rolled out in Japan, Krispy Kreme donuts, I tried it once and I didn't like it. And it was too sweet. It was just horrible to the tasting. But when it rolled up in Shinjuku, there were, for months, there were like 3 or 4 hour lines to get into Krispy Kreme and have a Krispy Kreme donut. So this is back in 2006, I think, when it first opened up. The craze around Krispy Kreme donuts was kind of amazing in Japan. They've just pulled out. They've just closed that shop, which used to have 4-hour queues. I guess it shows the kind of peaks and troughs of fashion. But apparently, they've been closing down a lot of places, and it shows that maybe they just expanded too fast. It's not clear if they're going to pull fully out of Japan or not. But it is crazy just to see Krispy Kreme has kind of gone from being. But there again, I'll say it again. And this is something when I first got to Japan, I didn't understand the concept. Too sweet, amasagiru. But actually, when you look at the Nichan reactions to this, that's kind of consistently what people are saying. That's kind of what I think as well, actually. I've just developed this, I can't stand food that's too sweet anymore. They just say, Mr. Donuts is fine, isn't it? Someone's saying, aren't they funded by Koreans? But it's like, it's too sweet. Isn't that the reason why? And this person says, yes, it's shinohodamai. It's so sweet, it's like it can kill you. So yeah, basically everyone seems to agree that's the reason why, but it's kind of amazing that it fell from grace so fast. That's the hate speech thing that we just talked about. Japan is, and that's right, record levels of over 65s that I just mentioned, and that is all the topics for tonight. I actually made a track tonight. I'm still working on it, but I'll play it as an outro just because why not? We have 4 minutes. How are you guys doing? Any questions? Any comments in the end? Donut should be a currency. I quite agree with that. That's a really good idea. So what do I do here? I put this in here. I put this in here. I haven't been making music lately, so I am just like deliberately doing it like the easiest way that I can. Let me turn that around. Boom. I wonder if this will come up. Let me just check this. Okay, that's showing up. So let's do this for the outro. just playing around. This is the track I just made. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Just playing around. Ideas there about donuts. Nope, right there, here. Cork. This is as far as I've gone in terms of preparing. I'm just going to improvise and leave. Let's do a variation. Let's change the beat up. I like to do break beats. Anyway, that's the outro. I'm just going to play around, and hope you guys enjoyed the show. See you again next week. Remember, 10:30 is Japanese, 11 o'clock is English. We're going to be back with 2.5 Oyajis next week. Hopefully, we're going to get vegan Ella Secret on soon. We're going to get some other cool guests on. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining, and boom, peace. Some disco beats. Hope you had a good one. Peace. And that's going to be the end of the show right there. Which I should do because my computer monitor just died. Have a good one, everyone. Peace. End of the show. See you later. Oh, I need to find where the control panel is. Oh dear. Here. There we go. See you guys later. Peace.